guys, today we're going to be reading the story Chester's Way. Raise your hand, keep your mouths closed if you've ever read this book. See, a couple of you have? Okay, great. Well, for those who haven't read this story, this is a story about Chester and Wilson, who are the best of friends, and they have their own way of doing things. Now, raise your hand and give me a thumbs up if you have a best friend that you love doing things with. That is so great. I'm so happy that you all have best friends. I have best friends too who I love to spend my time with when I'm not at school. So Chester and Wilson are the best of friends, but now someone new is going to move into the neighborhood. So we're going to see what happens in this story, okay?
And don't tell nobody I've read it.
Yeah, don't tell anybody if you've read the story. Let's make it a surprise. So everybody, let's keep our mouths closed and make sure to listen because I might be asking you some questions with your making meaning partners throughout the story, okay? Are we good? Everybody ready? Yes. Great. Chester's Way. And don't worry, I'm going to make sure you all see the pictures. So don't worry.
Miss Maggie, there's one more thing. If you know the story, you don't tell anything to your partner because you might say,
Well, don't give it away because we want it to be as you're right, Philip. Okay. Chester had his own way of doing things. Right there it says, "Hello, my name is Chester. I like croquet and peanut butter and making my bed." He always cut his sandwiches diagonally, and he always got out of bed on the same side. And he never left the house without double knotting his shoes. Chester always had the same thing for breakfast, toast with jam and peanut butter. He always carried a miniature first aid kit in his back pocket, just in case. "You definitely have a mind of your own," said Chester's mother. "You could say something like that," said Chester's father. Now, Chester's best friend was Wilson, and they did everything exactly the same way. Yes? You can't see? Sage, you can't see? Chester wouldn't play baseball unless Wilson played. And they never swung at first pitch and never slid in head first. Wilson wouldn't ride his bike unless Chester was going to as well. And they always used hand signals. If Chester was hungry, Wilson was too, but they rarely ate between meals. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it looks like they're eating some ice cream between their meals right there. Raise your hand and give me a thumbs up if you like ice cream. Yeah, me too. "Some days I can't tell those two apart," said Chester's mother. "Me either," said Wilson's father. Chester and Wilson, Wilson and Chester. That's the way it always was. They loved to go on picnics. Once, Wilson accidentally swallowed a watermelon seed and cried because he was afraid the watermelon plant would grow inside him. So Chester swallowed one too. "Don't worry," said Chester. "If you grow a watermelon plant, I'm going to grow one too." Now raise your hand real quietly if you think if you eat a watermelon seed, it's going to grow inside of you. Give me thumbs down.
my dad says, I do.
You think so? Well, don't worry. If you eat a watermelon seed, you will not grow a watermelon inside of you. So don't worry about it. Yes.
That's when I was walking with my friend, my dad,
You know, I've heard that's actually makes watermelon really good. And let's not put our face in other people's food. It's nasty. To each their own. We'll learn about that in a minute. Chester duplicated his Christmas list every year and gave a copy to Wilson, because they always wanted the same thing anyway. For Halloween, they always dressed as things that went together. Salt and pepper shakers, 2 mittens on a string, ham and eggs. "They really are 2 peas in a pod," said Chester's mother. "Looks like it," said Chester's father.
Because they're 2 peas.
Ah, you got it. They are 2 peas in a pod. You guys see their little costume? We just had Halloween. What are the odds? Aww. In the spring, they used the same umbrella. In the winter, they never threw snowballs at each other. In the fall, they raked leaves together. And in the summer, they reminded each other to put on sunscreen so they wouldn't burn. Chester and Wilson, Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. And then Lily moved into the neighborhood. Okay, we're going to take a pause right there. I'm going to have you guys turn to your making meaning partner. Be quiet for just a second. And I want you to talk about two things. I want you to talk about what just already has happened in the story and what you think might happen in the story. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Please use your quiet voices when you talk to your making meaning partner. We're going to talk about it when you turn back.
It had a hair, and then hey, you're my partner. Chester was on the same side of his eye. They always
Miss Harris,
Yes.
would you send Claire Ransom down to pick up her change of transportation, please?
I will, thank you.
That's
Thank
me.
you.
It's amazing what videos
Supposed to
can
be
do.
me.
Yeah, it's actually
No, you go, Krista. And
So keep talking.
Okay,
You know how to do that. Let's keep going. Oh, and it's she's making a prediction. Which means she's making a guess of what might happen. Okay.
What do you want to say?
Okay. Everybody, let's all use our quiet voices. Okay. I want you to raise your hand and tell me what you and your partner talked about has already happened in the story. Yes, Maya.
We talked about how to when she they cut grass, dress up with peas,
Mm-hmm.
and they rate the guy food.
That's good. Yeah. So those are some good. All right, back here.
They're gonna go to school together,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be friends.
Okay. So it sounds like we have Chester and Wilson who are really good best friends. Would you agree? Give me a nod if you agree. They best of friends. Yes, Tyler?
Me and my friend, I didn't know he was gonna be Halloween, and I just got into costume, and he got the same kind of costume that I had,
What are the odds? Just two peas in the pot right there. Yes, Jim.
and they were the same color. I got connection from the book
You made a connection. That's great.
because it was from like when they was at Halloween. One time, me and my friend Noah, we were pirates.
Oh, wow.
The same pirate.
You know, I am really loving listening to Gianni tell me about him and his friend dressing like pirates. But it's making me a little sad that some of my friends in the back are turning around and talking and messing with each other and not paying attention, Ian. The stairs. Yes, Philip.
I was going to say that they dressed up as peas, and they're like making their beds, and
Yeah.
and
Right.
if they both wanted the same thing, wanted to know if you put it, the copy, like did he type it on the computer?
Oh yeah, that's right. If you typed the Christmas list on a computer or you wrote it by hand? That's a good question.
And I'm gonna start using my computer because my shelf got it for me.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Now the next question you should have talked about with your partner. Raise your hand quietly and tell me what you think might happen next. Now don't raise your hand if you've read the story. Yes, Sage.
Lisa, that they might have been best friends.
That's great. Anybody else have any guesses?
I better read.
Yes, Daisy.
I think Wilson is gonna be jealous because Chester is Lily's friend.
That is a really great guess. I really like that. Yes.
I think that they'll be best friends.
You think they'll be best friends?
And then they would all be.
Okay, well those are some great guesses. We're going to keep reading and see what happens, okay? I am going to read, Gianni, this is where we stopped. This is where I'm going to start now, okay? So then, and Lily moved into the neighborhood. I am Lily. I am queen. I like everything. Lily had her way of doing things. Of Chester's way today. But before we get started, me and Claire and Tamaya made a connection from our book yesterday during our math lesson today. Claire, do you remember what we made a connection with?
That when you're talking to Tamaya, I said that Chester had a mind of his own. That everybody else had a mind of his own.
So because we have a mind of our own, that's why we have to show our thinking in math? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, guys, we are going to start back from where it said Lily had her own way of doing things because I know some of y'all asked me to start at the beginning, but we can't do that because we don't have that much time. But we're going to start halfway through. Okay, great? We all good? Give me a huge thumbs up if you're ready to go. See what happens to Chester and Wilson. Awesome. So Lily had her own way of doing things.
Read what you said.
You want us to read what she said?
Yeah.
Again. I am Lily. I am the queen. I like everything. I like everything. Well, I mean, she could be wearing a crown. Do you know some British people wear crowns? Queen. I don't know. She wore band-aids all over her arms and legs to look brave. She talked backwards to herself sometimes so nobody would know what she was saying. I can't again. It's I mal yil, which means Lily am I. And she never left the house without one of her nifty disguises. Do you all see her little outfit? She's even like wearing lipstick and a funky coat. Lily waved at all the cars passing by, even if she didn't know who was in them. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I actually do wave to people as they pass by. I think it's funny. We just like wave. I do that all the time. Do it all the time? And she always carried a loaded squirt gun in her back pocket, just in case.
Of what?
Of what? You never know. She definitely has a mind of her own, said Chester. That's one way to put it, said Wilson. When Lily asked Chester and Wilson to play, they said they were busy. And when she called them up on the phone, they disguised their voices so they said they weren't home. If Lily was walking on one side of the street, Chester and Wilson crossed on the other side and hid. She's something else, said Wilson. Chester, looks like it, said Wilson. Now we're going to stop right here for a second. I remember that yesterday we sat and talked to our making meaning partners about how Chester and Wilson were treating Lily. Can you raise your hand and remind me, how were Chester and Wilson treating Lily? Tyler.
That they're trying to get away.
They're trying to get away from her. Jeremiah.
They trying. The girl trying to be their friend. And
you telling me that yesterday after reading. It was a good connection there. Yes.
They're trying to be sneaky.
Trying to be sneaky. They're being a little sneaky, hiding their voices and hiding, aren't they? Okay.
Be nice and then trying to hide from her.
Yeah, that's a little mean. Okay, I'm gonna take one more. How about you, Philip? Don't worry, last question.
They're being mean and they think she's weird because they're not doing what they were supposed to do.
Raise your hand if you think that Chester and Wilson aren't being very friendly.
Nope.
Raise your hand high if you think that. You keep it down, think they're being friendly. Yeah, I don't think Chester and Wilson are being very nice. Do you guys see the way their faces look in these pictures? What kind of face is that? Do you know?
I can't see.
It's a little close.
Oh.
To me, they kind of look annoyed. Do you guys know what annoyed means?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one of those. That's
Just when I feel
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you for making that connection, Sage. Well, they seem a little annoyed. Have you guys ever wanted to play with just your best friend and you didn't really want anyone else to play? You guys have ever had those moments? Getting some raised hands out there? Well, that's probably how Chester and Wilson were feeling, I bet. But is it very nice to let someone not come play with you just because you want to play with your best friend? No. And I know we're such sweet boys and girls in this class that we all want to make new friends.
It's like you can make up a game from the next day.
You can always make up games for more people because we always want to make new friends. So we're going to see what happens with Chester and Wilson, and maybe they'll start being nice to Lily. One day while Chester and Wilson were practicing their hand signals on their bikes, some older boys rode by, popping wheelies. They circled Chester and Wilson and yelled personal remarks. Saying like mean comments.
We're popping wheelies.
Have you guys ever read?
Popping wheelie like your bike flip over.
Yes, it's like the front tire of your bike is like this.
Yeah.
So
That's dangerous.
that's a little scary.
Dad does it.
My dad, I only do the back wheel. We saw a video of a motorcycle doing it.
Yeah. I'd be kind of scared if I saw some bigger kids coming around me saying mean things and popping wheelies on their bike. I can't do that. It's a little scary. Listen to our friend.
My dad does that when we're riding bikes.
Wow, he's very talented. His dad can do that.
I might do
Does it?
You might
On
try it.
my scooter.
On my scooter.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes on my scooter, I might ride it so fast
Okay, guys, well, I'm really nervous for Chester and Wilson, so let's see what's going to happen, okay? Chester and Wilson didn't know what to do. Just when they were about to give up hope, a fierce-looking cat with a horrible fangs jumped out of the bushes and frightened the older boys away.
Ooh, I know what that is.
Guys, don't say it out loud. See if you're right. Keep it to yourself. Put it in your pocket. Did you guess right? Are you who I think you are? Chester asked the cat. Of course, the cat replied. Thank you, Lily, said Chester. You're welcome, Chester, said Lily. Thank you, Lily, said Wilson. You're welcome, Wilson, said Lily. I'm glad you're wearing a disguise, said Chester. And I'm glad you always have your squirt gun, said Wilson. I always do, said Lily, just in case.
They make friends.
They're making friends. So who was the cat? Who was the person in the cat costume?
Lily.
Lily. Was that what you were gonna guess? Good job. Let's see what happens to their friendship, okay? Afterward, Chester invited Lily over for lunch. You have a muscle mouse cup, said Lily. Of course, said Chester. I do too, said Lily. Same here, said Wilson. Chester and Wilson cut their sandwiches diagonally. Lily asked Chester's mother if she had a cookie cutter, and she made stars and flowers and bells. That's neat, said Chester. Wow, said Wilson. You see how her sandwiches look really
It's like a little thing.
That night, Lily invited Chester and Wilson over for a sleepover. You have a nightlight, said Chester. Of course, said Lily. I do too, said Chester. Same here, said Wilson.
That means you stay here in the dark. I'm not scared.
Yeah.
To each their own. Everyone has a mind of their own, right?
I can see to my
Smile. Let's let our friends see.
You okay? Come on.
Chester and Wilson wanted toast and jam and peanut butter for breakfast the next morning. Boring, said Lily. Try this instead. This is so good, said Chester. Wow, said Wilson. You see the little smiling face, toast with fruit.
Yeah, Jenny.
After that, Lily asked Chester and Wilson to play, and they said yes. When she called them up on the phone, they had pleasant conversations. And if Lily was walking on one side of the street, Chester and Wilson walked over and ran to catch up with her. Chester and Wilson taught Lily hand signals, and she taught them how to pop wheelies. Ugh. Did you guys see the bikes we were talking about earlier where you pop the front tire? Just like that. Lily taught Chester and Wilson how to talk backwards, and they taught her how to double knot their shoes. I'm all Northwill and Ole, kind of. Says hello, and Wilson am I. I can't talk backwards. Some days I can't tell those threes apart, said Lily's mother. Me neither, said Lily's father. Chester, Wilson, and Lily. Lily and Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. For Halloween, they dressed up as the three blind mice. For Christmas, Lily gave Chester and Wilson nifty disguises, and they gave her a box of multicolored shoelaces, extra long for double knotting. They loved to go on picnics. When Chester and Wilson and Lily told about Lily how they each had swallowed watermelon seeds once, Lily swallowed 3 of them. I'll grow a watermelon plant for each of us.
How are you going to cook?
In spring, Chester and Wilson and Lily shared the umbrella. In winter, they threw snowballs. They never threw snowballs at each other. In fall, they raked leaves together. And in the summer, they reminded each other to wear sunscreen so they wouldn't burn. Chester and Wilson and Lily. Lily and Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. And then Victor moved into the neighborhood.
Oh my God.
What is Victor?
It's a new...
I know it's a girl.
It's a boy. Victor is a
Oh, yeah,
You
boy.
never know. You never know. So let me ask you guys a question real quick. Just raise your hand, keep your mouths closed so I can hear all of our friends. What happened? What was different from the beginning of the story that's different at the end of the story? Yes, Annie.
Chester and Wilson.
Never mind. Daisy.
Chester and Wilson were friends, and they liked to do everything else, and then Lily moved in, and they didn't really want to be under there, and then now they made friends with Lily, and now
Victor loves this.
Do you think that they're going to be nicer to Victor now that they've made friends with Lily? They'll know how to act next time?
There'll be another
Do you
book
think
about
so?
Yes, I think so.
That's a good guess. Can anyone, this is a tricky question, my friends in the back, please face forward so I can hear you. Ian, Brooks, Addison. Can anyone tell me who the main characters in this book were? Who were the main people? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I'm only going to call on friends whose hands are raised. Ian.
Chester Wilson.
And are we missing someone else? Chester, Wilson, and Lily?
No, Chester Wilson.
And Victor.
Yes. Were there any other characters in the book?
No.
Oh, wow.
And their mom and
Their mom and dad.
Okay, were there any others? Victor. Who's another character?
Lily. Bad boys.
The bad boys. You're right.
You said she.
You know what's very important in the story to remember that just because this character is not a main character, they're still important because they can change the story. Did you all like the story about Chester's Way?
Yes.
Okay, quietly we're going to go back to our seats and I